I've been studying web dev a little bit for a while, and it's been kind of slow going. I don't really like the modern web that much. It's very bloated, you know. Nonetheless, I'm studying it because who am I? I'm a college dropout. Uh, I don't have any skills, and so I figure, there's that learn to code meme, uh, which we can talk about that meme later at some other point. But I've been learning web development. I've been following a course on freecodecamp.org, and I figure it's probably the easiest way to learn to make the easiest thing to learn to make a lot of, or, well, maybe not a lot, but enough money to support myself. So my plan is going to be, you know, follow the course, do some of the example projects, and sort of get a portfolio under my belt, make a personal website, make a personal email, and then, perhaps I can start looking um, for a job at that point, or perhaps I can start sort of working for people who are willing to hire somebody less professional, such as my dad. My dad has a business. He What he does is he ships cars. So he has a website. He he's a broker, right? What he does is uh, he finds people who want to ship cars, and he connects them with uh, truck drivers, truck companies, etc. And they sort of take it from there. But he coordinates the two, you know? He connects one to the other. And, you know, it is what it is. It's a one man game. There's a lot of brokerages out there who aren't one man games. And my dad sort of busts his ass and makes a living for himself that way. One man show. So once I complete this course and make some example websites, I'll come to him and I'll say, "Hey, you know what? I'll make you a website and I'll help you set it up. And in return, uh, you hire me, and you don't have to pay me that much, but um, that goes on my CV, and we can sort of, working together, we can sort of get a CV going for myself." So, you know, I can get some real world experience with deployment and working for a company, and perhaps I won't make enough money to survive, but that'll help me gain the necessary experience to into somewhere else, or perhaps start doing freelance at that point. And I don't know, what do I know about freelance? I guess I'll find out. So that's sort of what I'm thinking for my trajectory. But before that, I have to get through the course and figure out how to do this stuff, right? And so this Linux stuff has been a detour because I know that knowing how to use Linux and knowing how to use the shell and using these sort of more advanced, well, in some ways, tools on Linux will help me be more productive in the long run. So learning how to use Linux has been an investment in myself. And so for the past month and a half, I've just been experimenting, working on my workflow, trying to get my workflow as efficient as I can, and sort of investigating all the options and such. And it looks like ultimately I might go with something like Kakoun plus some kind of file manager and Git, and use all those in conjunction to produce my workflow. And that Kakoun stuff can be replaced with NeoVim or Emacs, perhaps. We'll see. I'm willing to dive into Emacs, but right now it seems like a whole lot. And, perhaps I should just, it seems like it's easier to get started with like Vim and Vi-like text editors, such as Kakoun, which isn't nearly, doesn't have a community that's nearly as robust as Vim, but I can, I'll figure out how to do my own workflow with it, because I do think that overall, like the philosophy behind Kakoun, which is the first thing you do is, all right, let's take a step back. In Vim, you tell Vim what you want to do, and then you tell Vim what you want to do it on. All right? That's the order. With Kakoun, you tell Kakoun what to do the thing on, and then you tell it what to do. So what are the benefits of this? Well, first of all, you can see what you're doing. It's more visual. It's perhaps you'll make less mistakes because of that, and you'll reduce the amount of keystrokes and speed up your productivity, perhaps. Now with Vim, and mind you, I don't know either of these text editors that well yet. I've just been, so far, I've just been using them to edit my config files for everything else, like my terminal emulator, my shell, my prompt, my window manager, my hotkey daemon. Those are the things that I've been editing with Kakoun, and before that with Vim. So I think the next step for me right now is, yes, I'll continue working on the web dev course. Perhaps I'll try to be more disciplined about sort of my sleep cycle and my diet and my exercise regimen, which those all have benefits. I, I started volunteering. I started, uh, making new friends in real life. And that's been good for me. And I am in a much better state mentally than I have been in a while. And at the same time, what I need to do is figure out how to use Git. And I know how to use Git in the abstract. I heard of this one CLI for Git called LazyGit, which I'm going to install that once I'm done with my walk here and check that out. And the first thing I'll do is, of course, I'll organize my dot files and I'll make a GitHub with my dot files. Right now, my home directory is a bit of a mess, and you know what? It'll be easier for if I just configure it so that it can all be in the .config file folder. Then it'll be easier to do version control and do backups on GitHub or whatever other service I decide to use. And so that's definitely the step that I should be taking right now. I'm sort of just tinkering with the workflow right now as well. I also need to incorporate a file manager into there. I saw this one video, I'm going to go back to that, where a guy was using Cocoon plus some file manager. I kind of want to add in Tmux to that mix as well. Perhaps, but also, I don't know, do I really need Tmux if I can just use my window manager? We'll see about that. I could, if I incorporated Tmux into it, I could just probably have like some shell script that opens up my workflow for me in a Tmux, whatever it's called, instead of using my window manager. I don't know. And then it would just be one window. It would probably be easier to keep track of that way. I don't know. We'll see. I need to investigate it. And, right now I'm just like getting right under the surface. So my current stack, we'll say, is... hold on, I need to loosen my shoe. My current stack is the SP window manager with simple X hotkey daemon, of course. For my terminal emulator, I'm using Alacrity. I started using Fish Friendly Interactive Shell. And you know what? It has some nice features out of the box. I was using Z Shell before. And before that I was using Bash. My text editor is Cocoon. I'm still like diving into that, sort of trying to figure out like what the best way to use it is. Maybe I'll switch back to NeoVim. NeoVim has had a lot of work done on it, and somebody told me don't reinvent the wheel. Maybe it's worth using Cocoon instead. We'll see. I think it probably will be. I can sort of, what's the word? it seems like Vim is pretty extensible, right? But Cocoon is extensible in the sense that you can use Unix pipes to do processing on your text. So that's like something that's very interesting to me because it means they don't have to write all that into Cocoon. I can use existing tools that are like on the shell that do use standard input and standard output. I can use grep, I can use, whatever. And that pipeline is very powerful. I don't think you can do that in Vim. You know what? There might be a way to do it, but I think once I figure that out in Cocoon, I won't want to try to use Vim anymore. Perhaps. And I'm just using Cocoon, all defaults. I do want to see like what's possible and like customization, but you know what? I want to learn the defaults first. So I can see what all it does out of the box and then adjust it to my liking over time. They say don't reinvent the wheel, but I think that your workflow should be, it shouldn't be copied from somebody else. It should be decided for yourself. And so my investigations into Linux and the programs that are available has been a journey of self-discovery. It's been sort of trying to investigate what's going to be best for my workflow. And I'm better off getting that all out of the way now compared to, down the line. I might be a web developer and I might, be less efficient as a result if I put the buggy before the horse, well, let's say. Now, messing around with Linux might seem like it's a waste of time. It might seem like just had to wait for a guy to go past. Just a guy running on the street. I'm just walking around real early in the morning. It might seem like a waste of time, a waste of effort. It might kill your productivity until you learn all these things, but I can easily sidestep that sunk cost fallacy by not having any cost sunk in the first place, And I'm perfectly happy with if I discover that something will be ultimately better for my workflow, I'm perfectly happy with throwing out what I know. And that is sort of part of the Unix philosophy, not being afraid to throw something out once you've decided that you can do it better, And I really do think that Unix philosophy is good. And why I'm going into web dev, it probably goes against those ideals, but perhaps I can look at it like, solve the unique problems that I'll be faced with, if they are unique, in such a way that sort of lines up with that. It's not like you have to follow it to the letter. We can't all be uh, Richard Stallman writing entire operating system to and software ecosystem to conform to his ideals. We can't all be that. But you know what? We can use what has been given to us, these simple, powerful tools, like, uh, grep and whatever. I don't even know. I don't know the shell very well. That's sort of something I'm working on. And, once you familiarize yourself with your tools, you can start figuring out what the best one for the job is. You can figure out what the limitations and what the what's the word? Abilities, I suppose. What features it has, and use it to its fullest. And use it in combination with other tools. So that's sort of been reinvented in the web dev space as far as I can see, with libraries and snippets and all the rest. It's a very old idea. And perhaps these ideas of Unix philosophy will help me in my career. But ultimately, I'm learning Linux not because of, and it's not that I'm a hypocrite, but I really do want to learn Linux because it's better. I like that it's a lot of it is free software. Open source is all right too. It's not amazing, but it really is better, and it will have massive financial benefits for me. I don't know if I can look like a wizard, I guess. Of course, what they don't tell you is it's all about connections. I mean, I guess they do tell you that. It doesn't really matter how good you are, it's who you know. But if you can do both, you can network and have decent social skills and have decent code, then you're a gem. And that I want to be a gem. Using these older but better tools, you can cynically look at it like this. They are more efficient, and it's a signifier to other people who also use those tools or are familiar with them. They might be older than you, but when you find somebody who also sort of shares your view of productivity and workflow, then you have a sort of mutual respect for them. And that doesn't count for that much. But it goes. So it goes. And so, really, what I'm trying to do is be able to support myself financially by selling my labor. And I'm in a position where it's possible. or it's impossible for me to do that. Uh, at least not without wrecking my body and my mind. And you know what? I might get a sort of a low skill, low paid job anyway, just to, I don't know. It's like, God, is it worth it? You know, that's the question. Is it worth it? Like, what will I learn from a low skill, low paid job? I don't know. I've had them before. I've worked for free before. And, you know, you learn some things and perhaps you open your eyes more than learning